Get ready, Padres fans. It's time for the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show on the Padres Radio Network.
Tatis at third, 2 outs. Fernando takes off. He's going to steal home without a play.
Coming up, we'll have a recap of the previous Padres game, a preview of today's starting pitching matchup, and our keys to the game. Plus, we'll hear from manager Mike Shildt. From the Padres Radio Network, here's Sam Levitt.
San Diego Padres baseball coming up on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. Today the Padres take on the Philadelphia Phillies in the final game of a 3-game series. Our starting pitching matchup for the Phillies, right-hander Taijuan Walker, and for the Padres, right-hander Michael King. Hi, good everyone. Sam Levitt with you inside the Western Metal Building at Petco Park. First pitch coming up at 1:10 as the Padres try to salvage the series finale against Philadelphia. Here's what's coming up in the next 50 minutes. We'll hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. In just a few minutes, we'll check in with Padres radio voice Jesse Ackler. Plus, I go one-on-one with Padres catcher Kyle Higashioka, our keys to the game, and much, much more to come as we get ready for the series finale here in downtown San Diego. But first, let's set the table, brought to you by Fraser Farms Market. Set your table with the highest quality of natural and organic products from Fraser Farms Market, a San Diego original since 1971 with 3 locations, La Mesa, Vista, and Oceanside. Padres enter today with a record of 14-16. Padres are just 3-7 in their last 10 games. Now 3 straight losses going back to Thursday in Colorado. Meanwhile, the Phillies are playing really well. They're 18-10. Phillies have won 10 of their last 12, 13 of their last 17 games. Right-hander Michael King will try to bounce back today after an up-and-down outing against the Rockies early this week. He gave up 6 runs on 8 hits in just 3 2/3 innings in that game. Padres offense also trying to get it rolling today. They've generated just 4 runs in the first 2 games of this series. Before we fully move on to today's game, let's take a quick look back at last night.
How did the Padres fare in their last game? Let's take a look back with our Padres Rewind. Presented by Hamul Casino. With thrilling slots and tables and all the best rewards, Hamul Casino has all the fun you're looking for. Hamul Casino. Fun above all else.
Dylan Cease took the mound for the Padres in the top of the first inning. He allowed a 1-out single to Trey Turner. There were 2 outs and Turner still on base for Alec Bohm.
Not only has Bohm hit in 10 straight, he's had a double each of his last 6 games. And he hits this one very deep to left field. Zokar back to the wall. He's got no chance. It's a 2-run home run for Alec Bohm, his 4th of the year. And the Phillies playing some more long ball here at Petco. Jump out to a 2-0 lead in the first.
Philly starter Ranger Suarez would get the game to the 5th inning with the Padres still down 2-0. Meanwhile, Cease had settled in, but the Phillies loaded the bases with 2 outs in the 5th. Cease walked Bryce Harper to bring home a run. It was 3-0. With the bases still loaded and 2 out, Alec Bohm struck again.
1-2 again to Bohm. Here's the pitch, and a hard hit liner over Profar into right field, base hit. Schwarber has scored. Trey Turner's on his way. Fernando's throw, the tag is not in time. A 2-run single for Alec Bohm, and the Phillies have rallied with 2 outs here in the 5th inning. They now lead 5-0.
Cease would go 6 innings, 5 earned runs allowed on 6 hits, 5 strikeouts, 3 walks, 91 pitches. But the big story of the night became Ranger Suarez. He was dealing. Suarez went 7 scoreless innings to begin his night. He had allowed just 2 singles to that point. Suarez got the first 2 outs of the 8th inning to that point, 7 2/3 scoreless innings, and a run of 32-plus consecutive scoreless for Suarez. But then Eggy Rosario dug in.
Pitch coming, and Rosario hits it in the air to deep left field. There goes the shutout. Eggy taking aim for the big golf ball. And a home run, his 3rd of the year. Padres on the board here in the 8th inning. A solo shot for Eggy Rosario, and it's a 5-1 game.
That swing from Eggy was really the only bright spot for the Padres offense last night. Padres had 3 hits total. The only guy to touch second base was Eggy Rosario on that home run in the 8th inning. Final score last night, the Phillies 5 and the Padres 1. Padres have now lost 3 in a row, and they're trying to salvage the finale of this 3-game series here today at Petco Park on an absolutely beautiful early Sunday afternoon. As we get ready for first pitch coming up at 1:10, let's go inside the Padres radio booth.
Let's go inside the Padres broadcast booth for a deep dive on today's matchup from Jesse Agler in our Padres game preview on the Padres Radio Network.
We go down the way here at Petco Park. We're joined by Jesse Agler as we get ready for today's game on the Padres Radio Network. Jesse, as always, appreciate the time. Very different looking lineup today for the Padres. Xander Bogaerts batting 5th. Jurickson Profar moved to the leadoff spot. Jackson Merrill in the 6th spot. Ha-Seong Kim to the 7th spot. Jesse, why do you feel like the Padres felt like today was the day to shake things up a little bit with that lineup?
I think there's probably a lot of factors that go into it, Sam. And look, there's no doubt this is the biggest shake-up that we've seen this year in terms of lineup construction. I think one of it is, sort of like the face value obvious stuff, right? You're just trying to get a little bit more production out of guys. And Jurickson's been one of your best hitters all year long. Let's put him at the top and see what happens. You get Xander some RBI opportunities in the middle. Jackson Merrill has earned his way up a little bit. I still think they're a little bit hesitant to put too much in front of Jackson Merrill right now, but this is definitely, a little bit of a pat on the back, right? Hey, all right, we're gonna bump you up to number 6 again here this afternoon. Part of it also is that, the offense has been a little stagnant the last couple of nights, although I think that's got a lot more to do with the Philadelphia pitchers than it did, lineup construction on the Padres side. And, sometimes it's just one of those things, right? You're the manager and you're thinking to yourself, all right, maybe today is the day. We got to try and mix things up a little bit and get going here. Taijuan Walker is making his first start of the season. I would imagine that plays into it a little bit. I don't know that that's something anybody on the Padres side would necessarily say publicly, but, a guy who's had a shoulder issue, pitching in the big leagues for the first time this year, maybe it's a little bit of a fresh meat situation, right? You're like, all right, this isn't Nola. This isn't Ranger Suarez. Maybe we can try and jump on this guy. Let's try and make life difficult on him and get all over him early on by shaking things up. And then, obviously, if things go well today, maybe you stick with, some of the changes in the days ahead and kind of let it come. That's the thing, right? I mean, that's such a big part of managing is sort of trying to find the wave and then ride the wave and also knowing when to get off the wave. Those are the tricky things when it comes to lineup construction. The other thing I want to say about this is I love talking about lineup changes. I'm sure you also make it a pretty big part of what you do on a day-in and day-out basis. The writers down in the press box to my right, they write about them every time they happen. I think we all probably care more about them than Mike Shildt does, in terms of how important they might be. I think Mike, sort of thinks at times, and not just Mike, a lot of people in baseball, that it's probably an over-discussed thing. And I get that. I think, to a manager, it's about production. And if your guys are productive, it's not a huge deal what order they're batting in. And I think a lot of the numbers will back that up. But it is noticeable. It is relevant. And it's definitely a big part of today's story. There's no doubt.
Yeah, certainly. We'll see if the Padres offense can get it going today with a different-looking lineup. And I thought when you alluded to the fact that the Phillies starting pitchers have been really, really good in this series, that's certainly a big part of what we've seen from the Padres offense in the first 2 games of the series, certainly yesterday with how good Ranger Suarez was for Philadelphia. On the mound for the Phillies, like you said, Taijuan Walker, Michael King on the mound today for the Padres. It's been a bit of an up and down first month of his Padres career. Some very, very impressive starts, some frustrating starts as well. Jesse, your thoughts on what King has done entering this start here today?
Yeah, I think you said it right. It's been up and down. The last one maybe falls somewhere in the middle. Those first 3 innings at Coors Field, he was cruising. And there was a moment when I was thinking, boy, Dylan Cease seems to have figured out Coors Field. Maybe Michael King has as well. Next thing you know, a ground ball to first base that's mishandled, and there's a grand slam happening. And I think, my primary takeaway from that is something Tony and I have talked a lot about this year. And I'll give Tony credit. He was on this from, Game 3, it seemed like, in the regular season. The Padres' margin for error this year is going to be very, very small. And it might be that one error. It might be that one pitch. It might be that one base running moment. It might be that one fly ball, as it was on Friday night here, that gets caught at the fence as opposed to going over the wall. Those are like the little things that, I think at least for this version of the 2024 Padres, and it might change as the year goes on, but right now the early season version of the 2024 Padres, they just don't have a big margin for error, and that's what we saw in Michael King's last start. He really was cruising through those first, I think it was 3 innings at Coors Field, and then all of a sudden the double play that wasn't, get anything out of it. Things spiral a little bit. Last night, even thinking a little bit about Dylan Cease, the walk to Schwarber, couple of pitches, couple of calls that didn't go his way. Next thing you know, another infield single, and all the trouble starts. Those are the kinds of things that, again, right now, early on in this season, the Padres seem to have trouble getting past, and that just, further, I think, shines the spotlight on playing clean games and mistake-free baseball, because as we've really talked about all season long, it does seem like every time there's a mistake, no matter how microscopic it might appear in a vacuum, it comes back to bite them.
Well said all the way around, Jesse. We'll talk to you and Tony coming up at the top of the hour. Padres trying to salvage the finale of this 3-game series against what's been a very good Phillies team so far this year. As always, thank you for the time, and we'll talk to you at 1 p.m.
You got it, Sammy.
All right, that is Jesse Ackler joining us from inside the Padres radio booth here in downtown San Diego. Absolutely beautiful afternoon here at Petco Park as the Padres play the Phillies at 1:10. Again, we'll go out to Jesse and Tony at 1 p.m. They'll have the full starting lineups, first pitch, and all the play-by-play. As always, if you want to get involved on our pregame coverage, you can do that in a number of different ways. You can tweet at me at SammyLev, SammyLev. Instagram DMs open as well. Sammy Lev there too, SammyLev. Let me know who you are, where you're tuned in from, and if you have a key to today's game, let me know what it is. I may just read it on the air coming up a little bit later. We are video streaming once again here today on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, so hello to everybody watching on video today from inside the Western Metal Building. If you have not checked out our video stream yet, I highly encourage you to do so. You can go to YouTube 97 channel and join us on the video side of things, and of course you can also get involved in the chat on YouTube as well. When we come back here on the Padres Radio Network, we'll hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. Plus, coming up later, I go one-on-one with today's catcher Kyle Higashioka. Much more to do on our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show. We continue after this on the Padres Radio Network. Welcome back to the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show on the Padres Radio Network. Your water perfected. EcoWater SoCal. Your water should be perfect. Find them online at EcoWaterSoCal.com. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park as we get ready for this series finale between the Padres and the Philadelphia Phillies. First pitch coming up at 1:10. Still a lot to do between now and first pitch. We'll tell you who's hot, who's not coming up in just a little bit. I also go one-on-one with today's starting catcher, Kyle Higashioka, a look at our keys to the game, and we'll have a full breakdown of this pitching matchup here today between Michael King and Taijuan Walker. But first, let's hear from the Padres skipper.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. Presented by Sinley Food. Spice up your culinary life.
Day game after a night game, so no pregame media availability for Mike Shildt today. So let's hear some of what Mike Shildt had to say after yesterday's 5-1 loss to the Phillies. Dylan Cease yesterday, a little bit of an up-and-down outing. 6 innings, 5 earned runs given up on 6 hits. He walked 3, struck out 5, 91 pitches. Cease was really close to it being quite a different outing. That's because both the runs in the first inning and the 5th inning, they came with 2 outs. And the guy that really hurt Cease was the red-hot Alec Bohm. A 2-run home run in the first inning, a 2-run single in the 5th inning to make it 5-0. Entering yesterday's game, Dylan Cease in a total of 59 plate appearances against right-handed batters. Right-handed hitters had just 1 hit against Dylan Cease entering yesterday, and then Alec Bohm, a right-handed hitter, did most of the damage last night. Here was Mike Shildt after the game on Dylan Cease's outing, and the fact that a right-handed hitter, Alec Bohm, was the one that really got to him.
Well, you're not going to continue the trend of the dominance he's had against righties, but he is tough as heck, to your point. And then you got, I don't know, this guy Baum, man, he's one of the best right-hand hitters in the game right now. This guy's seeing it and swinging it really well. So, he got a slider that he put a swing on early on, and then, man, his stuff was tremendous till the 5th, and you're talking about infield single, walk, infield single, then a walk, and then our guy hits one to right field for, basically the big blow for that inning to get a 3-run spot. So I thought Dylan was great. Just made him pitch. He made him pay for, and just one of those deals where we're in that rut where a couple infield singles, a couple walks, and can't overcome it.
Like we alluded to in the opening segment, the big story from last night's game was the performance from left-hander Ranger Suarez on the mound for the Phillies. He was absolutely terrific. He was dominant, really. 8 innings, 1 earned run given up, 3 hits allowed. Padres, until there were 2 outs in the 8th inning, only had a couple of singles against them. And aside from Eggy Rosario hitting a home run and touching second base, the Padres did not have a runner on second base aside from that home run in the game against Ranger Suarez last night. He was that good. The Padres didn't have an at-bat with a runner in scoring position. Here was Mike Shildt last night talking about Ranger Suarez and the Padres offense against him.
Nola last night, very surgical. This guy tonight, Suarez, was tremendous. I mean, he threw the ball very well. Up, down, in, out. If you think about the disruption of hitters' timing, and getting guys off balance. So in and out, disruption of balance, he was able to do that, and he's able to go back and forth with the disruption of timing. So when you got guys doing both of those things, going in, out, and then back and forth, makes for tough sledding on our offensive side.
So that was Mike Shildt on the Padres offense yesterday against Ranger Suarez. One of the bright spots for the Padres yesterday, no doubt the performance of Adrian Morejon out of the bullpen. 3 scoreless innings, 2 hits given up, no walk, struck out 5 on a grand total of 47 pitches. Morejon continues to be impressive out of the Padres bullpen so far this year. Now a 0.93 ERA in 6 appearances, a total of 9 2/3 innings so far this season. Here was Mike Shildt on Adrian Morejon.
Tremendous. Stuff's electric. Stuff's coming out really good. He's throwing it where he wants to. Again, navigating a tough lineup, but it's our job, and he did it really well. the huge 3 innings sets us up just like he did in Colorado to win the next day and to give ourselves a chance on that last day. Same thing tonight. Grabbed 3 innings, gave us a chance to come back and win it, and then gave us a chance to be in a better shape with our bullpen after, a couple short outings back to back prior to tonight. So can't say enough about Adrian. He's really stepped up and pitched very well for us.
Morejon hadn't thrown that many pitches in a few years, and he also has a fairly extensive injury history. How did you balance that with the desire, like you said, to set up the rest of your bullpen in this long stretch of games?
Well, he's been set up. I mean, that's always the balancing act, Dennis. That's part of the managing of bullpens is, he got 3 days off. He threw 36 pitches. So there's usually an addition of 10-plus pitches after that we feel comfortable with. He was built up in spring training to be able to do that. And so that was, we had a number. If you saw the righty, which I'm sure you did, getting loose, there was a point we were going to take him to. And it's also about the stress as much as the pitches. If he was in a lot of stress to get those pitches, he wouldn't have been at the number he got to. But the fact of the matter, he's more efficient, which doesn't take as much toll on the body, and he's built up after 3 days rest of 36 pitches, and it was an ideal spot to get him to a number that we were all comfortable with, and his stuff still looked great at the end.
That was Mike Shildt after yesterday's game talking about Adrian Morejon there. Again, Morejon, 3 scoreless innings out of the bullpen yesterday. We'll hear more from Mike Shildt on our post-game show after this one is over later this afternoon. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park as we walk you up towards first pitch. Coming up at 1:10, Padres trying to win the series finale against the Phillies. Now let's tell you who's hot, who's not.
Which player is locked in at the dish? Who needs to kick things up another notch? This is Who's Hot, Who's Not on the Padres Radio Network.
We first take a look at the hot category, and in the hot category today, a couple of Phillies. We begin with Alec Bohm, who is red hot right now. I mean, he's the hottest guy in baseball right now at the plate. Last 11 games for Bohm, he's batting .512 in a span of 43 at-bats, 8 doubles, 3 home runs, 16 RBIs, and a .1460 OPS during an 11-game hit streak. He has been phenomenal as of late. Trey Turner also back in the lineup for the Phillies today. He's also in the hot category, batting .400 in the last 19 games with a .1023 OPS in that span. Turner had 3 hits and 2 runs scored in last night's win for Philadelphia. In the not category, a couple of Padres we're looking at today. Fernando Tatis Jr., 0 for 7 in this series, batting just .132 with 3 extra base hits in the past 10 games. Fernando's batting average is down to .243. His OPS has dropped to .772 on the year. Xander Bogaerts, 0 for 8 in this series. His batting average is at .212 right now, an OPS of .567. It has been a very quiet series for both Bogaerts and Tatis so far in the first 2 games against the Phillies. Bottom line is this: Padres need those 2 guys to get it going here in the finale of this 3-game set. And that's a look at who's hot, who's not, as we get ready for today's game on the Padres Radio Network. When we come back, we'll have a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard, give you our keys to the game, plus I go one-on-one with today's catcher, Kyle Higashioka. Much more to do on our pregame coverage. First pitch coming up at 1:10 here in downtown San Diego. You're listening to the Padres Radio Network.
Hey, friends, it's your well-hydrated
Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Mental Building at Petco Park as we get ready for the final game of this 3-game series between the Padres and the Philadelphia Phillies. It's Military Sunday here with the Padres, and we want to give a special salute to all our active duty service members, veterans, and their families. San Diego County Toyota dealers are proud partners of the Padres and honored to support San Diego's military community. First pitch coming up at 1:10 here in downtown San Diego. Let's update you on the injuries for the Padres and the Phillies entering this one.
Who's in, who's out? This is the Bada Fulkerson Injury Report, presented by San Diego's Bulldog Injury Attorneys, who hope you're never in an accident. But if you are, make Bada Fulkerson the first call you make. Hit them up 24/7 at badafulkerson.com.
Not a whole lot to update you on today as far as the injuries. Something for the Phillies that you should note, and we'll get more into this when we get into our pitching preview, but right-hander Taijuan Walker making his season debut for the Phillies here today. That's because he started the year on the IL with a right shoulder impingement, so he is technically coming off the IL today, rejoining the team to make room for Walker on the 26-man roster. Right-hander Ricardo Pinto was DFA'd by Philadelphia, so that's the injury on the Phillies front. As far as the Padres, nothing to update you on today as far as the status of Yu Darvish. He's eligible to come off the IL on Tuesday. Hypothetically, could start that game on Tuesday for the Padres. Right now, the Padres have it listed as TBA for Tuesday's starter, but Darvish did throw a bullpen yesterday. So when we have an update on that, when we have an update on whether Yu Darvish will come off the IL and make that start on Tuesday, we'll let you know. But again, did throw a bullpen yesterday, and he would be eligible to pitch in that game on Tuesday. So those are the updates for both the Phillies and the Padres as we get ready for the final game of this 3-game set. Now let's take a quick look at the out-of-town scoreboard.
Let's take a trip around the Bigs and tell you about the scores you need to know in our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Meat, where great taste meets integrity.
We have a busy day of games around the major leagues on this Sunday. Cardinals and the Mets are tied at 1 in New York, 8th inning there. Guardians ahead of the Braves, 3-1 in Atlanta in the 7th inning. Orioles lead the A's 6-5 in Baltimore in the 7th. It's the Blue Jays 3, the Dodgers 1 in Toronto, 8th inning at the Rogers Center. Tigers beating the Royals 4-1 in Detroit in the 8th inning. Nationals ahead of the Marlins 10-7 in Miami in the 6th inning. Yankees and the Brewers tied at 4 in Milwaukee in the 5th inning. White Sox ahead of the Rays 2-1 in Chicago in the 7th. Rangers ahead of the Reds 4-0 in Arlington, 5th inning there. Game still yet to begin. Astros and the Rockies in Mexico City at 1:05. Pirates and the Giants in San Francisco at 1:05. Angels host the Twins at 1:07 in Anaheim. Diamondbacks in Seattle taking on the Mariners at 1:10. And finally at Fenway Park later on this afternoon at 4 p.m., the Cubs and the Red Sox. And that's a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard on this Sunday across the major leagues. Well, yesterday down on the field here at Petco Park, I had a chance to catch up with Padres catcher Kyle Higashioka. Higashioka in the lineup today, day game after a night game, so Luis Camposano getting the day off. Higashioka doing the catching, batting 9th and catching his former Yankee teammate Michael King. I caught up with Higashioka on the field yesterday. Sam Levitt down here on the field at Petco Park, and right now I'm joined by Padres catcher Kyle Higashioka as we get ready for today's game on the Padres Radio Network. And Kyle, the last time I had a chance to talk to you one-on-one was back at spring training, got a sense of how you were acclimating to the new organization, all the different things that come along with that. First month or so in San Diego, how's it been so far?
It's been really good. I think, I've adjusted pretty well to the team, and these guys are great. They've been great. I think we definitely have yet to hit our stride, but, we showed a lot of good things so far.
You talk about having yet to hit your stride as a team. To you, as you watch this team, when you're in the lineup, when you're on the bench, what do you see as far as the potential of this team as a group?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have an extremely potent lineup, a lot of great hitters. We we score a lot of runs. And the pitching. I mean, we got a bunch of studs starting pitchers. Not everyone's firing on all cylinders yet, but I really believe that it's going to happen soon. And I think the bullpen's been pretty good overall. So it'll come together.
Let's talk about the pitching. Michael King, obviously your teammate in New York. He had that just outstanding outing in Milwaukee last week. You had a chance to catch that outing from Michael. When Michael King is at his best, or when he's been at his best this season, what does that look like to you?
He's using both sides of the plate, making good use of both fastballs and just mixing pitches, keeping hitters off balance.
What makes him particularly tough when he's really got it going?
I think both of his fastballs are very different in terms of pitch shape. There's a big difference in terms of lateral and vertical movement with the two fastballs, so it really keeps guys off balance.
This may be ultimately a better question for him, but obviously he's somebody who is continuing to be a starting pitcher every 5 days from the start of a season for the very first time in his career. How do you see him sort of adjusting to that part of it, being a starter really from the start of a season on for the first time?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's gotten into a good routine, and he knows how to prepare himself every day, so he's not a guy I worry about. He's a hard worker, he's smart, knows what he's doing out there.
Kyle, another guy you've had a chance to catch quite a bit, that's Matt Waldron, who had that really nice outing in Colorado earlier this week. What stood out to you about what he's done so far this year?
I think he's done a good job trusting his stuff, throwing strikes, getting ahead of guys, and I think that's the key. The knuckleball is obviously a pitch it's so hard to catch. I can't, you have to think that it's equally as hard to hit. So, as far as I'm concerned, I'm just trying to tackle it.
Do you feel like you're getting more comfortable with it as time goes on, as you see it more?
I'm not sure. It's always a struggle.
As far as Matt's repertoire as a whole, obviously he's a little bit of a different pitcher with the knuckleball because he's not a quote-unquote traditional knuckleballer where it's what he primarily throws. How do you feel like he continues to work on that wider pitch mix?
I think it's important for him to throw everything because, you can get guys slowed down, and he's got the fastball and he's got the command to be effective with it, and then if guys are looking for the fastball, he obviously has the knuckleball and also the sweeper. It's been good.
Padres catcher Kyle Higashioka joining us here on the Padres Radio Network. Back to your game. Obviously, you're getting a chance to start here every handful of days. Offensively, where do you feel like you're at right now in the first month of the season?
Yeah, I think recently I've been having some better at-bats and, making decent contact. So I think the hits are coming, but it's definitely, typically takes me a little bit to get going, but I think I'm right there.
Final thing for you, obviously you were playing in New York a long time. This time of year, weather's not like this. You enjoying this weather so far?
Yeah, it's been beautiful. So better than I could have imagined.
Kyle, appreciate the time as always, and we'll talk to you again down the road. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Sam.
Good stuff there from Kyle Higashioka joining me yesterday down on the field. And like we've said, Higashioka catching Michael King here today, batting ninth for the Padres in this series finale as we get ready for first pitch coming up at 1:10. Let's give you our keys to the game.
How will the Padres unlock a victory in today's game? These are the keys to the game. Presented by Honor Buick GMC Hummer in National City.
Key number one, Michael King cutting down on the walks and the home runs. Michael King currently leads the National League in walks allowed with 18 issued so far this season. King walked 3 batters earlier this week in Colorado. The other issue has been the home run ball. The 7 home runs allowed ranks 3rd in the NL. Now, with that said, King has put together a couple of outstanding starts in his first 5 as a Padre. There was 7 2/3 innings of 1-run ball in Milwaukee last week, 7 scoreless innings in San Francisco a couple of weeks ago. Padres need the good version of Michael King today against what is a very dangerous Phillies lineup. Phillies are averaging nearly 6 runs per game in the last 12 games. They've hit 18 home runs in those last 12. This was an interesting note that I came across this morning. Something to consider with Michael King today against the Phillies. King's four-seam fastball averages 93.2 miles per hour. The Phillies are hitting .323 this season off fastballs thrown at 93 miles per hour or lower. So how do the Phillies fare against that King fastball here today? All of that with Michael King. Consider that in key number 1. Michael King putting together a nice outing here today. Key number 2, Padres stars gotta play like stars. Let's start with the top 2 in the Padres lineup. Xander Bogaerts and Fernando Tatis Jr. They are a combined 0 for 15 to begin this series. That can't happen for the Padres to be successful both here today and the rest of this season. They need Fernando and Xander to play well, to have big days. Last night, the top 6 in the Padres lineup, Bogaerts, Tatis, Profar, Machado, Kim, and Campusano, they went a combined 1 for 20. Padres need a lot more from the top 6, 7 in that lineup here today. Key number 3, somehow, some way, slow down Alec Bohm. He is red hot. He might be the hottest hitter in the majors right now. 4 RBIs last night. He continues to just find ways to drive in runs. A .512 batting average, .553 on-base percentage, .907 slugging percentage. In a current 11-game hitting streak, he has 11 extra base hits and 16 RBIs during that span. Bohm at third base, batting cleanup today for the Phillies. Don't let him hurt you. He has been unbelievable as of late. Somehow slowing down Alec Bohm. That's key number 3, and that's a look at our keys to the game. As always, if you have a key to the game, I may just read your tweet, your Instagram DM, or your YouTube comment live here on the air. You can tweet me your keys to the game at SammyLev, SammyLev. Instagram DM's open as well. SammyLev there too, SammyLev. If you're watching on our video streams on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, wherever you're watching, feel free to comment. Let me know what your key to today's game is. I may just read some of your keys to the game coming up during our next segment. When we come back, we'll tell you what to watch for in today's game. Plus, we have a full breakdown of this pitching matchup between Michael King and Taijuan Walker. First pitch coming up at 1:10 here at Petco Park. I'm Sam Levitt on the Padres Radio Network. Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building and at Petco Park as we get ready for this series finale between the Padres and the Phillies. Phillies winning 9-3 on Friday, winning 5-1 yesterday, and now the Padres looking to avoid a 3-game sweep at the hands of the Phillies here this afternoon on what is an absolutely gorgeous day here at Petco Park. Fans filing in, players warming up on the field on a military Sunday here in downtown San Diego at Petco Park. Just a note on one of the Phillies today, interesting note, Bryce Harper made his debut on this day in 2012. That was April 28th, 2012. He was 19 years old. He went 1 for 3 with a sac fly. By the way, fun fact, Matt Kemp, the former Padre, he actually hit a walk-off home run for the other team in that game. But Bryce Harper celebrating the anniversary of his major league debut today. Of course, Harper back in the lineup for the Phillies, batting third and playing first base. Speaking of the Padres lineup for this series finale, that's the subject as we tell you what to watch for in today's game.
What's the one thing Sam Levitt will be keeping his eye on in today's game? This is What to Watch For. Presented by Genesis Home Improvements, San Diego's trusted painting, roofing, and window company. Save 15% today on a new beginning for your home. Visit GenesisHomeImprovementsSD.com.
What to watch for in today's game. I walked inside the Padres clubhouse this morning. I looked to my left where the lineup is normally posted, and it looked different. I said to myself, that's interesting. Very different looking lineup. So what's different about it today? Well, Jurickson Profar's leading off. Xander Bogaerts is batting fifth now. Jackson Merrill moved up to the number 6 spot. Ha-Seong Kim batting seventh here today for the Padres. So a lot of changes to that lineup. Let's start with the leadoff spot. One of the reasons the Padres may have decided to put Profar in that leadoff spot, he has some very good career numbers against today's Phillies starting pitcher, Taijuan Walker. He's 5 for 12 against Walker with a couple of home runs and a double in his career. And also, just in general, the Padres have scored only 4 runs in the first 2 games of this series. They've been outscored 20-4 since the 8th inning on Thursday in Colorado. So the Padres offense not really clicking right now. Mike Shildt and the Padres deciding to do something a little bit different here today. Very different looking lineup. Does that lineup spark this offense? Do they get it going here today? That's what to watch for in the final game of this 3-game series. Now let's dive into our starting pitching matchup between Michael King and Taijuan Walker.
Let's take a look at who's on the bump today with our starting pitching preview on the Padres Radio Network.
On the mound for the Padres, right-hander Michael King, 28 years old, in his first season with San Diego. So far this year, 2-2, a 4.11 ERA in 6 outings, 30 2/3 innings. He struck out 34, walked 18, has given up 7 home runs. Last start in Colorado, 3 2/3 innings, 6 runs, 4 earned, given up on 8 hits. That was after a tremendous start against the Brewers, 7 2/3 innings, 1 earned run given up, 2 hits, and he struck out 10. King is been slightly better against righties than lefties so far. Righties batting .203 against them, lefties at .236. I bring that up because last year lefties actually hit 80 points lower than righties against King. So that's been a little bit different this year for Michael King. He's made 1 career appearance against the Phillies. That came last year with the Yankees, had a scoreless inning and a third of relief last season against the Phillies. The arsenal for King, the 4-seam fastball, changeup, sweeper, sinker. He'll throw those 4 primarily. Also mixes in the slider. The changeup to this point has been King's best pitch. Hitters are batting just .184 against it so far this season. On the mound for the Phillies, right-hander Taijuan Walker, the 31-year-old, making his season debut today. He began the season on the IL, dealing with a right shoulder impingement. He threw 102 pitches in his final rehab start, so he should be fully stretched out for this one here today. Last year for Walker, he was 15-6, a 4.38 ERA in 31 starts, 172-plus innings. He struck out 138, walked 71. Faced the Padres twice last season, went 5 innings in both starts, gave up 4 runs here at Petco Park, gave up just 1 earned run in Philadelphia. Walker has a 3 ERA in in 9 career starts against the Padres, a 3.54 ERA in 5 career starts here in San Diego. Last year, Walker's pitch mix looked like this: a splitter, a sinker, a cutter, a four-seam fastball. He'll use those 4 pitches primarily. Also mixes in the curveball and the sweeper. And that's a look at our pitching matchup here today between Taijuan Walker and Michael King. You've been listening to the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show on the Padres Radio Network. EcoWater SoCal, your water should be perfect. Find them online at EcoWaterSoCal.com. When we come back, Jesse Agler, Tony Gwynn Jr. have the starting lineups, first pitch, and then all the play-by-play. I'll talk to you on our post-game show. You're listening to your home for San Diego Padres baseball, 97.3 The Fan, and the Padres Radio Network. Enjoy the game, everybody.